In a small town at the edge of a dusty road, there lived a man named Daniel. Life had not been kind to him. He was once full of dreams, energy, and hope, but years of disappointment had worn him down. His business failed. His friends slowly disappeared. Even his family began to doubt him. Everywhere he turned, doors seemed to close. People in the town whispered, "That man's star has fallen." Some said, "God has forgotten him." Others said, "He is finished." But what they did not know was that God was only preparing a testimony. Every morning, Daniel woke up before the sun. He would sit on a small wooden stool outside his one-room house and stare at the sky. His hands were rough from labor, but his heart was even more tired. One day, as tears rolled down his face, he whispered, "God, if you still see me, help me. I cannot help myself anymore." That prayer did not sound powerful. It was not long, it was not loud, but it was sincere, and heaven heard it. Days passed and nothing seemed to change. Hunger still knocked on his door, bills still piled up, rejection still followed him. Yet something inside him refused to give up. Even when he had only a little food, he would say, "Thank you, Lord." Even when people mocked him, he would reply, "My God is not done with me." One evening while walking home, Daniel met an old man by the roadside. The man looked tired and weak, struggling to carry a heavy bag. Though Daniel himself had little strength, he offered to help. He carried the bag all the way to the man's house. The old man looked at him and said, "Young man, why would you help me when you are also struggling?" Daniel smiled and said, "Sir, when I have nothing, kindness is what I can still give, and I believe God sees it." The old man nodded quietly. The next morning, Daniel received a phone call. It was from a company he had applied to months ago and had already forgotten about. They said, "We found your application. We want to interview you today." His heart raced. He had no fine clothes, no transport money, and no confidence. Yet he remembered his prayer, "God, help me." So he knelt down and said, "Lord, if this is you, go with me." He went to the interview with shaking hands, but a trusting heart. The questions were tough, the competition was strong, but somehow every word he spoke carried clarity. Every answer came with peace. It was as if another voice was speaking through him. 2 days later, the call came again. "You got the job." Daniel fell on his knees and wept, not because the job was big, but because he knew this was God's hand. For the first time in a long while, hope returned. But the story did not end there. As Daniel began working, he discovered something. The same company had a partnership with a foundation that supported small entrepreneurs. They offered training and financial help to those with good strong, but somehow every word he spoke carried clarity. Every answer came with peace. It was as if another voice was speaking through him. 2 days later, the call came again. "You got the job." Daniel fell on his knees and wept, not because the job was big, but because he knew this was God's hand. For the first time in a long while, hope returned. But the story did not end there. As Daniel began working, he discovered something. The same company had a partnership with a foundation that supported small entrepreneurs. They offered training and financial help to those with good ideas. Long ago, Daniel had dreamed of starting a business, but fear and failure had buried that dream. One day, he felt a gentle push in his heart. Try again. He submitted his idea. Weeks later, he was selected. They gave him training, support, and seed capital. The business that once failed now started growing. Customers came, profit increased, stability returned. People who once mocked him now asked, "How did this happen?" He would answer, "When God helps a man, no one can stop him." But the greatest miracle was not money or success. It was what happened inside him. His faith became strong. His prayer life became deep. He no longer saw himself as a victim, but as a man helped by God. One Sunday, he stood in church and shared his testimony. He said,
"There was a time when I had nothing but tears and prayers. People thought I was finished, but God picked me up. He guided my steps. He opened doors I could not open. He connected me to people I could not reach. He restored what I lost and gave me peace I cannot explain." Truly, when God helps a man, his story changes.
The congregation was silent. Some were crying. Others were praying silently. Lord, help me too. Daniel looked around and realized something. God did not help him because he was perfect. God did not help him because he was the strongest. God helped him because he trusted. And that is the message of this story. When God helps a man, failure becomes a lesson, not a prison. Delay becomes preparation, not denial. Tears become seeds, not the end. And weakness becomes a stage for divine strength. If you are watching this and you feel forgotten, if doors have closed before you, if people have counted you out, remember Daniel. The same God who helped him is still alive today. He is the God who lifts the lowly. He is the God who remembers the forgotten. He is the God who turns "it is over" into "it has just begun." When God helps a man, his night cannot last forever. When God helps a man, his story must change. When God helps a man, the world will know that it was not by power nor by might, but by the Spirit of the Lord. And maybe, just maybe, the next testimony the world will hear is yours. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel.